Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my Resistance Faction Lightspeed Bundle Guide. I'm just talking about what you should do in the aftermath of purchasing these packs, because in reality, these packs put your account way further than it should be in the natural progression of the game really fast, and you need to think about mods, Zetas, ability mats, all the things that these packs don't give you. So I'm going to try to talk about how to prioritize ability materials, speed and mods and comps for these teams. So I hope you enjoy, hope you learned something, and I hope this is helpful for you. First, I'm going to look at the comps, so we have those in mind when we're looking at our ability materials and mod priorities in mind. So the first one is, this is just what I think is probably the best Galactic Legend Ray comp once you unlock her before you get Ben Solo, because in reality, a lot of players are not going to get Ben Solo for a long time. If you do have Ben Solo, put them in here for sure. Probably replace Holdo or even the Resistance Hero Bros. You can put them with a Finn Zori team. But Zori, Ben, they're going to take a little bit longer to get. So once you unlock Galactic Legend Ray, if you're only looking to run one comp, you haven't finished off Zori yet, probably this is your best bet. JTR should never leave Ray's side once you have Ray. The Resistance Hero Bros work fantastically together under this lead, and then Holdo is just a tank, and she has a passive taunt. It's really going to help out, triggering more whirlwinds, get more damage out there, and help keep the team alive to get through ultimates. However, before you have Galactic Legend Ray, the two best comps you could run, I think you should put all the Finns and all the Poes with Zori Bliss. Even if you just get her at 3 stars or something, give her some gear, this team is going to be fantastic. If you do get Zori, her Zetas and her Omicron are top priority. But I'm going to go through a ranking of Zetas, assuming we don't have Zori later. But if you do get Zori, just know her Zetas take priority over everything. This team is fantastic, tons of damage, lots of survivability, just comes out of nowhere. Really hard to deal with, even at my level, even in Kyber 1 in the end game. And then Gender Training Ray, since she's an unaligned Force user, she doesn't work very well with Zori. That's why we have her in a separate team. But what Gender Training Ray can work with is droids. She doesn't have any direct droid synergy, but she has a lot of synergy with BB-8, like calling him to assist. Then he can call another Resistance ally to assist, either R2-D2 or Rey in this case. If you bought the Radis pack, you'll have L337 and T3M4 at Relic 5, and they can fit in nicely there and have a good offensive team, really an offensive team only. But otherwise, you're not really going to get a great second full Resistance team. And BB-8 gets a huge turn meter boost, which is kind of why you run Rey with droids, because even without any Omicron or anything, all droid allies get 8% turn meter for each droid ally you have, getting you a head start, and then she can give some turn meter to Rey. BB-8 can give some turn meter to Rey with his first special. But if you're looking to not run, if you don't have Zori, you're not going to get Zori very fast because she's an extra farm. This is a team I think you can run pretty effectively with no extras, because this team above also has an extra R2-D2, which you might not have at Relics yet. But this team down here, it's all going into Galactic Legend Ray, JTR, Resistance Hero Bros, BB-8, and then the fifth is kind of variable, but I like Veteran Smuggler Han Solo because he's got an AoE ability block, he can do stagger on the basic, and he's pretty strong actually. Like with relics, you give him some offense, he's actually going to do good damage. And under Rey's leadership, you're getting turn meter for critical hits and for when you use specials. And he's got a lot of critical hits to offer to the team. So I think Veteran Smuggler Han is a great fifth, but you could use Holdo. There's a couple options there. Moving on to 3v3. This is assuming you have Ben, or you don't have Ben because he takes a long time to get, but you do have Zori. We want to run Rey with Jedi Training Ray. And then the third, if we're looking not outside the packs, Amelin Holdo's a great third just because she can take some hits without dying and then give Rey some more whirlwinds. She can heal up Rey with her first special. This ability, so Rey gets a whirlwind off, and then she heals up, gets back to another whirlwind, and then Holdo can heal her up to get above the threshold for a whirlwind again, and I'll go over Rey's kit in depth later. So JTR, definitely with Rey. If you have Ben, definitely slot in Rey, and Ben. Another great option here is Hermit Yoda or something, but Hermit Yoda is extraneous to the packs, so I'm not going to talk about him. And then we got a Finn Zori team. So in 3v3, this is probably your best bet. I've seen people run Rose with the Omicron, but in the end, Resistance Hero Finn is great because he gives counterattacks out to his whole team while he's inspired. He swaps turn meter, great damage. He has a cleanse and a massive call to assist. So just very strong character overall. And then Zori, she has a pretty bloated kit. Like, it's very long, so I'm not going to dive into it, but just trust me, it's good. You don't even have to really understand why it's good to put it on defense, and it works well. People don't really use it on offense, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time diving into her kit because we could be here all day. Then 3v3, if you're looking just within the packs and then the Ray requirements, you can run Ray, BB-8, and L3. I think L3 is a great tank for this. And JTR and BB-8, they can work well, getting exposes off and, you know, just lots of assists, and you're going to get the job done. And another option instead of L3 is R2-D2, but he is outside the bundles, so not going to look at that there. And also before the bundles, or if you don't have Zori, so this is with the bundles, another great 3v3 team is Finn, Poe, with the two resistance heroes being the supporting cast members, just because they work so well together. Finn can inspire resistance hero Poe when he swaps turn meter with that first special, and then Poe can inspire someone else whenever he uses a special, as long as he is inspired. And their uniques are pretty strong. Finn gives extra damage, true damage, equal to the target's max health. Resistance Hero Finn gives counter chance. And Finn lead, his Zeta, if you're going to use the team, it's a pretty good Zeta, but you don't even need it. Just without the Zeta, with just the purple, blue, and green ability mats, you get 60% defense, offense, and potency, which is a pretty nice stat boost overall. And then these guys can just take it away. Zeta is nice, but I'm not going to tell you to rush it. And then at the bottom, this is just a TB team. So if you're doing Rise of the Empire territory battle, this team works very well across the board. I know C-3PO and R2-D2 are extraneous, but J training Rey lead, because you get a lot of turn meter gain, is even better than Rey's lead, because Rey's just a protector, not really. She doesn't lift the whole team to do a lot of offense. It's all kind of her, just a one girl show. So it might take a while if you don't have C-3PO. So this is really just TB, because and PvP C-3PO goes with the CLS team. And you might not even have that yet, I don't know. But yeah, those are the comps I'm working with and assuming as I go through the rest of this, ranking Zetas, ability materials, and whatnot. And now I want to do a ranking of the 10 best Omega abilities you can apply within the characters from these bundles, including JTR and BB-8, because those are the ones you're unlocking directly with the bundles. But I'm not including Zori here, and then obviously Galactic Legend Ray does not have any Omega abilities. So going from top to bottom, I think the best Omega is probably a Ray's special, where you're gaining Foresight. So passing out Foresight is very crucial. If you have an ally that's weak, or you know they're going to get hit, giving Foresight is really going to keep them alive. Resistance Hero Pose, second special, stun the target enemy for 2 turns. Stunning is very helpful, just one of the best debuffs out there, and 2 turns are hard to find, so awesome Omega there. Third best, Veteran Smuggler Han. I think inflicting ability block on all enemies for 1 turn is fantastic. A lot of times you can get him out before a lot of the enemy team if you got to go first with somebody, because of all the turn meter you're getting from J Training Ray's lead. Next, Illuminated Destiny gives a lot of extra buffs once you get to that. Advantage, crit chance up, crit damage up. So you're really going to increase the damage of your whole team once you get to Illuminated Destiny. Mind Trick, just a couple extra really key debuffs, daze and speed down. And if you read the kit closer, any resisted debuffs gain, I think it gives her turn meter too, or removes their turn meter. So adding extra debuffs that have the potential to be resisted, add even if they get resisted. 6, we got Arc Welder. This is BB-8's basic. If the target already had tenacity down, which is inflicted on BB-8's basic to begin with, you inflict daze for 2 turns. So nice added functionality there. Resistance Hero Finn. This is the ability where he's swapping turn meter with a resistance ally. It ups it to a double damage hit. And not only does Finn do great damage, it's giving 2 extra chances for turn meter gain under a JTR lead. Number 8, this is Finn's basic. If he is not inspired, it reduces the cooldown of this move by 1. So you get back, you circle back around to that move pretty quickly. You can basically do specials most of the time. If you start with this ability, do his mass assist, he does his basic, he's going to get back to his specials real fast. 9, we got True Shot. This is Veteran Smuggler Han Solo's basic. It's plus 15% damage, and then Han inflicts stagger for 2 turns. Then he attacks again. When he attacks again, very nice. Stagger is a very powerful debuff, and you can choose to use it how you will. And then the last one, this is kind of assuming you have Finn lead Zeta, and you're running him OG Poe under OG Finn on a Zori team or something. Get extra expose chance and inflict buff immunity for 2 turns on target enemy. Exposes feed very well in Finn's leadership if you have that Zeta, and buff immunity is a strong debuff. So these are not, I mean, this is not a definitive ranking. Like, I think these are just my highlights. If you want to go mix around, be my guest. But I know Omega materials are very, they're not very prolific for early game players, so you might want a priority on this. And a lot of Omegas are just like plus 15% damage, plus 20% damage. And these, I think, add something material to their comps. Next, we got some Zeta priorities for the Resistance Bundle characters, including Jedi Training Rey, that are the best to apply within this faction, excluding Zori Bliss and Galactic Legend Rey. But once you have them, all their Zetas pretty much take precedence as soon as you get them. So going from 5 to 1, starting with Resistance Hero Pose Unique. This makes it so that if an enemy critically hits an Inspired ally, and you're going to have a lot of Inspired going around, all buffs are dispelled from that enemy at the end of the turn. Kind of a nice, tricky Zeta. You're not going to be able to actively control it as much, but it's really nice. If you're facing a team that has a lot of buffs, they just start to fall off for attacking your team. Next is Resistance Hero Finn's Unique, and it's also another one that's kind of hard to control, but it's just very nice. Helps mitigate damage to you if an ally is prevented from using an ability on their turn. So think Fear or Stun. They recover 40% health and protection, and then gain 40% turn meter, which is really nice. You really cycle through that fast. I mean, it's not 100% turn meter, but you get around to the turns pretty quick, and you get a lot of extra turn meter sometimes from either the Finn lead in some ways or Jedi Training Rey lead. Rank 3 is Insight on Jedi Training Rey. So this is her last unique, I believe. At the end of her turn, if Rey already had critical damage up, she gains offense up until she is damaged. And at the start of the encounter, she gains Foresight until she evades. She's going to get Foresight a lot. So she gets it from her first special and then starts with it at the beginning of the match. So she's really annoying to hit. She's going to stay alive a lot longer because of all that Foresight. Just a nice touch. Number 2, Roll with the Punches, BB-8. When he attacks out of turn, he calls a random resistance ally to assist. Not only is that great for extra damage, it's great for generating exposes maybe, or getting extra turn meter under Jedi Training Rey's lead, which is a lot of the time that's where you're going to use BB-8. And yes, he's not directly from the bundle, like same with JTR, but it's not a far jump away from getting this bundle. Number 1, I've referenced it a lot. It's Jedi Training Rey's lead. Whenever a Resistance ally uses special abilities, all exposed enemies lose 5% turn meter, which can't be resisted. And then when a Resistance ally uses a special ability, if they aren't debuffed, reduce their cooldowns by 1. So the turn meter gain is there already without the Zeta. This just helps you control the enemy more by reducing their turn meter, and also reducing your team's cooldowns. That happens pretty often whenever they use a special ability. If they aren't debuffed, reduce their cooldowns by 1. And you can find a lot of ways to stay undebuffed. So it's just really nice. She used to be a mainstay in the Sith raid in the early days just because of that cooldown reduction. Just a fantastic addition. Best Zeta if you're going to be using the Resistance faction. I'm going to talk about mod priority for the teams. Specifically speed, because that is the most prescient on people's minds. But I'm going to reference what I think the best sets are for these characters. And kind of primaries too, although I can't spin forever on that. The fastest you want is Resistance Hero Finn, whether you're using him on a Galactic Legend Rey team, JTR team, or Zori team. He gets the ball moving, and I'm not like over the hill with him, tons of speed, but he gets things going. He passes this move off to Resistance Hero Poe, gets him inspired, and Poe can inspire someone back, and then you get things going. you got a lot of bonuses from Resistance Hero Finn being inspired. 100% counter chance, 50% defense, and 50% tenacity. All fantastic buffs. Passes to Poe. Poe, you don't have to have quite as fast, but it is nice to have him fast because that's going to determine Resistance Hero Finn's next turn. Otherwise, if you do have Zori, she is probably the one you want the fastest. She has amazing protection, so I like to mod her up for protection to be annoying so she doesn't die. But you just go for damage too, crit damage, physical offense, or just offense. I mean, you don't just mod specifically for offense. You don't mod for physical or special offense. Same thing with Finn. He's not a very bulky character, but you can give him a lot of extra health if you so choose. He doesn't have great protection, so I wouldn't mod him for protection, but damage is nice. Crit damage or offense on the triangle, but I mainly just care about speed. And then next is that we want to think about BB-8. You kind of want fast. It gets a speed boost from lots of extra droids. It can get things going under a JTR team, but it's got some it's pretty fast to begin with. I am slacking on my BB-8 because I don't use it as much, but you mainly want speed. You want some survivability because it taunts here and there. Damage is not going to be a huge deal. You just want this guy to take turns. Side note, I don't think you should ever apply this Omicron. Not the Omicron, the Omega. It just makes BB-8 taunt if it's on a full droid team, and I didn't foresee that happening. But then when I got a sortie team, it really hurts. Like, you don't want... I don't think you really want BB-8 to taunt ever. So save yourself some mats there. JTR is also a good priority for speed. However, I have her modded right now just for health because I run her under Galactic Legend Ray and just need her to survive. But if you're not running her under Galactic Legend Ray, put more speed on her. You can mod her for damage. Crit damage is fine, or offense, because her lead gives a lot of extra crit chance and some crit damage. And critical hits really feed into making this team run. 70% chance to inflict expose, and then 10% turn meter when an enemy gets exposed. So when you get crits, you cause expose, you gain turn meter, and then when you're doing specials against them, they're losing turn meter if you have the Zeta. Then Resistance Hero Finn, I kind of neglected him right now, but you mainly just want some offense, maybe a little survivability if you can, health not protection on the circle. You don't really want crit damage on him because he deals special damage and his special crit chance is pretty low. Under a JTR team, you might want to throw some crit chance on there because every extra crit helps, and you get a big boost from the JTR lead. Under a Finn lead in the Zori team, offense is the way to go because he has a pretty high base offense. So that's why I don't have a crit damage triangle on him or anything. But again, he's a pretty low priority for me with his speed, and I don't even have the right circle on him. You kind of want some extra speed on him to bridge the gap with Finn. Under JTR lead, you're bridging that gap pretty easily with the exposes and turn meter. And under the Zori team lead, there's a lot of other things. Not her lead, but the Zori team under the Finn lead, there's a lot of extra stuff to kick in there and help as well. Since I don't want this video to go on forever and ever, I'm just going to talk about mods for the rest of the characters pretty quickly. For Veteran Smuggler Han, mine is not up to snuff. I don't use him much, but if you just got this pack, he's going to be pretty nice. You want to focus on damage, like offense, crit damage, or offense or crit damage, and then crit chance or something. And then speed is nice too. Not really a survivability guy. R2-D2 is kind of outside the scope, but there's a ton of ways to mod him. Rey, Stick Rey, she's a great option too if you don't want to use Veteran Smuggler Han, because she does do a lot of damage. You mainly want to mod her for either crit damage or offense, and then crit chance too. But she does have a pretty good base crit chance, so it doesn't take much to get her over 100%. And for using her with Jedi Training Ray, you probably don't even need crit chance mods on her at all. Poe Dameron is a tank, and he has a pretty nice base protection and health. So either way, whatever you have the more mods on, protection is easier for a younger account just because the primary is near its max potential at 5 dots. I don't care as much as speed on him, so don't worry about making him fast. C-3PO outside scope. Resistance Trooper, offense or potency. He used to be great under Finn, but you're not really going to use him that way. He inflicts expose. Right now, you don't really use him too much, so don't worry. Rose Tico, moderate for damage and offense, which is like a lot of these, but I only really think she's worth it if she has her Omicron, and I don't recommend doing that Omicron. I don't have it, but when she does get it, she gives out a lot of offense to the team in Grand Arena. And for each exposed enemy, which is greater under JTR, or Fin lead with Zori, then 5% turn meter whenever they score a critical hit. So that takes a JTR's bonus from 10% when they hit a critical hit and give an exposed to 15%. So she is a nice plugin, but it's kind of a high price. Pilot, just throw some mods on him for his ship, like crappy mods. Any 5-dot mods will work. Like if they're great, give him your worst mods just for the ship. Finn, you want to make him tanky. I like protection. I've kind of slacked on his mods, but he has great defense, like great armor. So you can give him defense sets, protection focus. It doesn't need a ton of speed. I mean, he's just there to taunt, so I kind of like him slow. But make him tanky, and protection is the easiest way to do that. Veteran Smuggler Chewie, I don't really think he's that useful. He has nice synergy with Veteran Smuggler Han. Like if Han dies, he'll get a bonus turn. But you just mod him for damage if you want. I don't really use him. And then Holdo, I like modding her for health. She has a great base health pool. 61k, and then a great base protection pool of 60k. So whether you go health or protection, you're gonna get a nice bonus. You don't really need speed on her. You're not worried about her taking a lot of turns. You want her to do like one thing once in a while, which is heal up Galactic Legend Ray. But outside of Galactic Legend Ray team, I wouldn't run Holdo. Just make her bulky, don't worry about speed. And then we're on to Galactic Legend Ray. Okay, so this battle isn't going to be a great indicator of what you might come across because mine are really strong and I have all Zetas, but I'm just going to do a run on the last node in Cantina just to demonstrate how this team actually works together. We're going to start with Resistance Hero Finn and pass the turn off to Resistance Hero Poe. He passes back. If there's someone you want to stun, use his second ability. If there's someone that's going to get a lot of turn meter, use the stun on the second one. I'm just going to pass this Inspired to JTR because once Poe is inspired, his specials pass the Inspired around. BB-8, most of the time you do this middle ability, there's no cooldown. It's always going to happen. JTR, I like to start, it really depends. I mean, if they have a lot of buffs, you're going to use that second ability to strip them off. If they don't, you're going to call BB-8 to assist. And then when Finn's up to his next turn, just spam this. This is an AoE cleanse, so it's fantastic, but it also does lots of damage. And for Han, we only have one enemy here, so I will just do the basic. But this spread gives BB-8's Wiggle gives turn meter to JTR. No sense doing the removal. Now I come to a few more enemies, so I hope I get to demonstrate a little bit better. But just keep an eye on our turn meter here. So, got Resistance Hero Vid special again, pass to Poe. I think he's gonna die, so I'll just pass to him, and then just spam that. So they get through their cooldowns really fast. It's really nice. Veteran Smuggler Han is just nice for that AoE and the double tap on the basic. Gonna generate a lot of turn meter, and yeah, it's a pretty smooth team. And I'm not going to show you like a Finn Zori team because most of the time you put that on defense anyway. But I hope this helped clarify just how the team runs a little bit. Now I want to do what I hope to be a full or close to full breakdown on Galactic Legend Ray. But for most of you, if you're watching this right after I posted it, you don't have her, you won't have her for a while. It takes time to farm her. So you want to be ready when you do. First thing we're going to talk about is Zetas. And there's like tiers of her Zetas. I think the best two are Sudden Whirlwind and her leadership ability. If you only literally have one to give, I might just give it to Sudden Whirlwind because it increases her attack from a single massive damage to double massive damage. That's 200,000 damage plus a multiplier per relic amplifier you have on her. So once you get to relic 7, you start doing about 300,000 damage. So that's mostly her main threat before you get to ultimate. But the second best, or just tied for first best, is her leadership Zeta. It's the one that gives you damage immunity when an ally falls below 50% health. Not just resistance, any light side. That is one thing that's fantastic about Rey. You are not going to find the word resistance in her kit at all, just light side. She works with any light side characters. So, I mean, I gave you some comps, but you can throw it out the window and theory craft with any light side characters you want. After that, Galactic Legend, this is the one every Galactic Legend has. Huge focus because it reduces the damage she takes and really bulks her up as far as health and protection. So that's key number 3. 4 and 5, kind of even in my book. We got Lifeblood. You're going to spam this constantly with her because either you do the basic or you do Lifeblood until sudden whirlwinds. Use conditions are triggered. You give this actually makes this give out Lifeblood instead of just health. And Lifeblood kind of gives a Galactic Legend-like trait in decreasing the damage that character takes by 30%, which is very impactful, increasing damage by 30. So that's very nice. And then the unique, it's really nice too, but it's not mandatory right away. Allies with inspired or damage immunity can't have their turn meter reduced, which is really nice. That actually comes into play a lot, and a lot of people miss that, but it's really helpful. And then the basic, it comes in dead last. The last Zeta you want to apply. If it's her turn, deal damage a second time. In general, you're trying to avoid using Rey's basic. You only do it when you want to heal up a little bit. You can't do Lifeblood or Sudden Whirlwind or the ultimate. So that's why it's last priority. It's going to be the least impactful one you have. And now for her mods, there's 2 main approaches you can take. Most people go for tons of offense, and then health is definitely a priority, but mainly offense, and then a good amount of speed. Or you can go for really bulky, lots of health, and a good amount of speed as well. You don't care about potency with her. Tenacity can actually help, I think, against Star Killers, but not many people run Tenacity. But you mainly want good offense. I actually have a decent amount of offense for how much I went all into health. But you don't want protection because her base protection is terrible. You don't want crit damage because most of the time you're either doing Sun Whirlwind, which is a set damage ability, or the ultimate, which is just pure offense. It's not crit damage. The only time she crits is on her basic, or the AoE part of the Whirlwind. But yeah, that's mainly the 2 main ways you can mod her. And yeah, it's pretty simple, but it's difficult to actually get it executed well. But yeah, she's just fantastic. Even if you have bad mods on her, she can do amazing. One time I forgot to put mods on her in a Grand Arena, and I still took out Malga's team in 3v3, which was pretty fun. That's mostly what I have to say about the Resistance faction, how the teams work, priorities for a lot of different things. But I want to take a second to talk about resource management, because the standard approach to this game is you kind of work on a lot of things in synchronicity, and slowly over time, one bottleneck gets broken, and then you work through other stuff. But with these packs, you get pushed way further than you ever expected in your resources. Some resources are pushed to the limit, and others are almost irrelevant. Like relics on the Resistance team, you have them all. You have almost all of them. You got a few you got to get to R7, like J-Train, Rey, BB-8. But your characters are all farmed, and all the gear and relic material is done. So I think it merits shifting a focus of resources from farming characters. You might want to take from farming other characters and move on to a heavy focus to mods. Not every newer player has a big crystal income, and you might not be able to do 3 refreshes in Cantina, normal energy, mod energy, ship energy. So I think you should prioritize mod energy. Guarantee you do 3 refreshes for mod energy. That's 150 crystals, and then probably, at least at first, guarantee 3 Cantina refreshes, or 1 or 2 after the mods. But I think your normal energy and ship energy can take a back seat if you can't afford everything, because you are going to need a ton of mods. That's just my opinion. That might turn out to be not a good approach, but for the most part, Omegas and Zetas are not going to be affected by your energy output, but your mods and relic materials for the last step, getting JTR, BB-8, and Stick Rey to R7, that's going to be very important. So you might want to shift that energy focus to the Green Lightning. That's it, guys. That's my take on what to do in the aftermath of buying these Resistance bundles. It's a lot to manage, and good luck with it. I know I couldn't cover like literally everything you could think of, so if you have extra questions, feel free to ask in the comments. And don't forget to like the video if you did find it helpful, and if you haven't subbed already, please consider doing so. Thanks so much, everyone. See you later, and good luck with those Lightspeed rosters.